Good afternoon and welcome back to Fite Sports Uncovered. I'm your host, Mark Joubert, and another exciting show ahead of us today. And as you know, it's been a massive, massive time for combat sports across South Africa, and we're still in that phase of return to training. So we're going to talk a little bit more, we're going to unpack a little bit more, and for today's show, delve a little bit more into the kickboxing side of things. As always, today our show is brought to you by Morne Lotter chocolate. You remember it, that new era artisanal bean-to-bar chocolate company that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Kind of stuff that you really, really want to taste. And if you just hold on, watch the rest of the show, you could probably, hopefully answer the question that we've got for you and walk away with a Morne Lotter hamper. But getting back into today's show, as we've said the last couple of weeks, we've been listening to what Marsa have had to say and how they've been unpacking the return to training protocols, this following on that 7th July notification by the Minister of Sport that combat sports, contact sports can get back to training and to competition. So we're going to unpack a whole bunch of that today with today's guest. So first of all, we're here in his home from home. It's Shido Fighting Systems in Centurion, just outside of Pretoria. And my guest today, the gym owner, he is also a fight promotion owner, and here we're talking about Supreme Fighting League. He's also been very much involved in the kickboxing scene. His family was very involved in the outset, the beginning, the commencing of administration of MMA in this country. And he is also the founder of Inner Warrior. My guest today, right here in his home away from home, Morne Lotter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you guys here at my gym. Welcome. I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah.
First time I've been to Shido Fighting Systems here in Centurion. Just talk us through, what does Shido Fighting Systems do for those people out there looking for a place to get rid of their, let's call it their COVID tummies? What is it that they can find here?
Well, Shido Fighting Systems has been in the game for a long time. We started with mixed martial arts, like you said. Currently, we're doing kickboxing. We're doing fitness as well. And our approach here is a little bit different. So yes, we help you to get your COVID tummy away as well. But my approach in training is very holistic. So I take my students, I help them to become better individuals on all levels. So that's how I do these things. And we see sports when we go compete. It's just a testing ground where you see how you handle the pressure, how do you handle your emotions. So my way of approaching the sport of kickboxing is a little bit different. So it's a family vibe. With the whole lockdown thing, my students are going crazy. They're missing their Shido family. So that's how we do things here. So,
I mean, looking behind me, you know, you've got your fight team wall. As you said, just in the build up to the interview, obviously needs to be updated. It's probably about 4 or 5 months outdated based on COVID, on non-training activities and non-competition activities. You mentioned also that a lot of your students are going a bit crazy. Forget about the students. You must have been going a bit crazy, not having that interaction with students yourself.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, like you said, this is your second home. This is your second family. So it's hard to not have that interaction, not having the guys around you. And to see them grow is one of the things that brings me the most joy. You see, especially with the small ones. It's always nice with the kids when you see them grow and become better. So yeah, it's been tough. It feels like ages. So with the light at the end of the tunnel, seeing that we can maybe open our doors again soon, I'm very excited for that.
If we look at it, kickboxing has clearly taken a dent globally. It's a very different place to where it was 4 or 5 months ago. Looking at the state of kickboxing here in South Africa now, this massive thing called COVID-19, what's the impact that COVID-19 has had, first of all, on kickboxing in terms of your experience, your gym, and personally for yourself?
Well, when it comes to the gym, I'll just cover that first, is we actually signed with S&T Sports to be one of the wholesalers for Adidas and Reebok. So we got that done, and then this whole thing happened. So that was one of the dents, so we can't get that off the ground. I mean, people are struggling financially, gyms are closed, so we couldn't get that off. And obviously with the students, we had to stop training. We've got high-level fighters here. So we had to quickly think on our feet. And that's when we started to put in some online training stuff so we can keep them busy. So we're still going strong with that. And then when it comes to the sports, I mean, events were cancelled, essays was cancelled. That was just a while after lockdown started. We were supposed to have the national championships. So it's a big knock. And a lot of the fighters that were supposed to go to the nationals, it's hard for them. You worked hard for it, you looked forward, and now it's cancelled. So it was very difficult. And to keep the morale up of the students and the fighters, it's difficult. But everybody actually handled it really well. I mean, we've got a good team, we've got a good family that support each other. So everybody is still positive, so it's good.
Have you, as a gym owner, as a trainer, have you seen a fundamental difference between the member that is a fighter versus the member that is just doing it for fitness purposes? I mean, I'm expecting that the fighters remained very, very resolute in terms of their training regimes, trying to keep as fit as possible, knowing that not much contact, not much combat can take place. But it's probably more your weekend warriors, if we can call it that, that probably have been more of the ones that have fallen by the wayside in terms of gyms in general.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with the fighters, some of them, this lit the fire inside even more, So they say, okay, we've got extra time to work now. So they pushed really hard. But like you said, the casuals, I mean, they're the guys who call you and they're like, hey, listen, we're going to come back and it's going to be tough times. They're like, yeah, it's going to be tough times. So yeah, some of the guys really rose to the occasion. I'm really proud of them, especially some of the juniors. I had one of my junior students and he would upload like videos of him kicking like a spinning kick on a piece of toilet paper roll, so they were creative, which was nice. But like you said, some of the guys lit the fire and some of them, you can see they're dipping down again. So it's hard, and I think all of the gym owners have that same problem. A lot of them fade away during these times. And it's good because even in our personal lives, we see who's around, who's legit there and who's not. So there's a blessing in times like this, just like there's some bad things that happen.
Looking at the bigger picture, looking at what a lot of other big federations, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, have been doing. Soccer, what was their role in terms of keeping kickboxing alive during these last 4 months?
What they did was actually quite nice. They gave our students the opportunity to do like an online competition, which was cool. So they had 2 segments. The one was what they call musical forms, which is not something we do, so we didn't enter that. And they also had a shadowboxing competition. So you would have a 1-minute video, you do shadowboxing, and then they send it into a panel and they score it and obviously get the results back. So that helped a lot. I mean, the students had a bit of something that they can aim for, especially with all the tournaments being cancelled. People don't have direction now. They're like, what are we working for? So that was nice. And every now and then the coaches would chat in and they will tell us, listen, how's things going? Like, for example, one of the instructors close by, me and him, we talk a lot. So we're busy talking and saying, how's your students doing? So the family vibe is quite good. I'm grateful for them for giving us the opportunity for the competition because that helped a lot. So yeah, there's things like that soccer has put in place just to keep the morale up and give the guys opportunity. It is hard. I mean, it's hard to do it, but they at least took some steps. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it's very interesting and heartening to see that the federation is keeping active. The athletes are keeping active, especially when we're seeing globally, what's happening in the bigger world of kickboxing, Glory specifically. But coming back now to this letter that came out on the 7th of July. Last couple of weeks we've been talking to Marsa unpacking the return to training protocols for gyms to get their compliancy certificate. Obviously you've looked at a lot of those protocols. You started implementing many of those protocols here as we look around the gym. How onerous have those protocols, have some of those protocols been for you as a gym owner, and what are they going to be like for your students coming back?
No, it's difficult. Things are different, and for the students, it's a different way of coming back to the gym. Things are running completely differently. But at the same time, we actually closed up a week before lockdown because we saw how things were going, and safety of my students is top priority. So I said to them, listen, here's the stats. I'm not going to take chances, so we closed up. So these precautions, some of them is harsh, but we need to do it. And keeping my students safe is the priority. Keeping ourselves safe is the priority. So the stuff that we did, we did everything that we needed to do, and yeah, we need to keep it safe. So we actually taken the space and fit in less people. So we're only putting in 6 people in at a time, because I think it's just safer. We can fit in more, but like I said, I want to keep everybody safe and so they can enjoy training. So yeah.
Looking at the aspect that a lot of people are working from home, is that potentially going to help combat sports gyms from the perspective that you can actually do a lot more personal training, one-on-one training during the day? Because yes, I'm working from home, I don't have to clock in at the office, so I can grab an hour at 10 o'clock and go and get a personal session with my coach, come back, and that's essentially my lunch.
Exactly. We've had that now. We actually made a video just showing people a tour about how things are going to work in the gym. And some of them contacted me. I said, listen, I'm working from home now, so I've got the whole day open. Can we do an earlier class? And so it's actually helping us because of the limited amount of people in a class. I mean, usually when we're looking at classes, we've got quite a lot of students here. And now because we only have 6, to squeeze everybody in is hard. So that's definitely something that's helping us. So we can do earlier sessions as well.
Looking at the details of the protocols, entry-level protocols, on-mat protocols, off-mat protocols, restroom protocols, exit protocols, all of these various protocols that have been outlined as the base level from MASA. Obviously, what we heard over the last couple of weeks is that that's the base level. It's up to the federations themselves, in this instance, soccer, to slightly modify those to fit kickboxing needs and requirements. How many of those protocols do you see really being onerous for people and maintaining those going forward? Do you see any major challenges from your experience?
Well, one of the things is, like I said, with the numbers is a bit of a problem. I mean, to have that long term is going to be a bit of an issue. So hopefully as time gets better.
So you mean financially, to keep the gyms afloat financially?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, if we can, let's say you have an X amount of students and you can only bring 6 in a session, you're doing 3 sessions a day, that's not a lot of people. Yeah. So I can't accommodate everybody like that. So it's up to us to now get a system where we can try and accommodate everybody. So that's why we, for example, are combining the online stuff with the stuff at the gym so everybody can kind of be happy with that. Then obviously because it's a contact sport, I mean, you've got pad work, sparring, bag work. We, for one, we're not going to do any of that. So luckily, throughout the years with different experience with different martial arts, I've got many methods to keep my students busy without using stuff. Because at this stage, I just feel like I don't want to put them at risk by doing drills with pad work and stuff. So there are some of the stuff that's going to be difficult long term, especially with the uncertainty. We don't know when this is going to clear up. We don't know. So I'm trying to put things in place that can be sustained for a long time without having too many repercussions from it.
Return to training is one thing. Having spoken to the president of MASA, Louise Viviers, not so long ago, she was saying that now that the protocols are in place, the gyms are going to have to go through this process, which quite clearly is going to take some time. You're still waiting for your certification. And she also sort of notified that return to tournaments and to competition will probably not take place for at least 2 to 3 more months after we've had return to play in play or return to training in play. I suppose that's a blessing in disguise as well, because you want to get your athletes back into combat ready mode before they step into the ring or step into the cage.
For sure, especially your top level fighters. I mean, you're not competing against people that, you know, do this for a hobby. The guys are in it for the big run. So the guys are skilled and we need to give them time to readapt. I mean, anybody who's done anything like that knows if you take a break and come back into sparring, it just feels a little bit weird. You get your range again. So it's good. And now we can't spar anyway. So, well, at least we're not sparring. So it gives us a bit of time just to prepare everybody again, get them on the base level thing. Luckily with us, we've been training non-stop online anyway. So the guys are still fit. It's still good. It's now just the thing of getting the timing down and stuff, but that we can do. But it is a blessing in disguise. And I think, from my personal opinion, it's a safer thing to do anyway. We don't want groups of people coming together now. So I think it's a good thing.
So there you have it. As we return to training, it's all about safety. It's all about making sure that the athletes, the students, are ready for the day when they decide that they're going to get back into the ring, into the cage, and compete again for glory, for winning, for getting that next W. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to unpack a little bit more about what takes place here at Shido Fighting Systems. Don't go away.
Start up your day with faith-filled confessions of healing and health from the Healing School mobile app.
Therefore I declare that I enjoy the life of perfect health and perfect peace always.
Living a healthy, vibrant, and prosperous life depends on the words you speak. Download the Healing School mobile app today on the Google Play and Apple App Store, or visit our website at www.enterthehealingschool.org.
Welcome back to Fight Sports Uncovered. And we're here at Shadow Fighting Systems in Centurion with my guest, Morne Lotter, gym owner, promotion owner, and a whole bunch of other things he's been getting involved with. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of those in the next short while. But while we were away, as usual, we got Morne to take a stab, open up one of the slabs of Morne Lotter chocolate, and we asked him to pick one that sort of caught his eye. And I think his exact words were, I'm going to go with a flashy one. And he went with, I'm going to ask him, your thoughts, cacao chocolate?
It's brilliant. It's awesome. I really liked it. Like when I looked at the packaging, I was like, I always like things by watching what they look like, and I'm like, oh, that looks flashy, so give it a shot, and it tastes flashy as well. So thumbs up from me.
So there you go. So if you want to win yourself a hamper of Morne Lotter chocolate, very, very simple. Very simple question to answer. What was the color of the packaging that Morne selected of the Morne Lotter chocolate bar? And you can WhatsApp us your answer to +27 83 885 2040. Send us your answer before the next show, and you could be a lucky winner of a Morne Lotter hamper, courtesy of Morne Lotter chocolate. And you're also going to get some of this flashy stuff as you get to try it. Absolutely delicious. Morne, back to some of the discussions we were talking about. Yes, it's back to, we'll call it return to training. We're going to get the guys, they're going to fill out the gym 6 at a time, that kind of thing. Personal classes, personal training. You're going to finally, slowly find a rhythm to get back into combat sports, contact sports as we knew it 4 or 5 months ago. But added to this sort of big ecosystem of kickboxing stuff that you do is another brand, another business that you started a number of years ago, Supreme Fighting League, SFL, as I've come to know it. What is it, 5 or 6 events you've hosted to date? The last one, unfortunately for us fight lovers, well over a year ago. What's happening with SFL? I know I've been in touch with you a number of times. Is it coming back? Where are we? Give us a quick rundown. Where have we been with SFL over the last couple of months?
Look, we want to get back as well. We're excited to get back. The thing is, most people probably know this, but I'm just going to run through it. So we worked with Quasar Sports, obviously, and at that last event was when we found out that they're not going to close down. So when we heard this at the event, we're like, what the hell's going on? So we contacted them and they said, no, it's just the production site closing down. So we actually had one of those Quasar, like a decoder thing.
Yeah.
And next morning we go up and we see it doesn't work. So it's like, what's a technical issue? And then we went on the internet, we said, no, it's finished, they're done. So that obviously was a problem for us because that's our broadcasting partner. So to get a new broadcasting partner is a bit of a problem. So we've been working on it, and we had some plans prior to this whole COVID thing. And now obviously it's everything is on hold. Everybody just said, you know what, we don't know who's going to get on the other side, if you want to put it that way. So now everything's just hanging in the air. We honestly don't know where SFL is going to go. We're going to have to see when this thing blows over to see what's left, what's the opportunities, and then take it from there. So unfortunately, it's uncharted waters that we're in now.
Times like these give us an opportunity to reflect. You've had quite a while to reflect on SFL. A number of the shows that I've personally been at and witnessed, in my opinion, one of the best productions of combat sports in terms of promotions, in terms of amateur, super am, as you like to call it, and then right the way through to professional. So you're one of the very few sort of combat sports promotions that links literally from juniors right the way through to professionals, all in one night, all in one ring. What sort of thought have you guys given to taking it to the next level? Because it was a very, very slick production. I'm not too sure how much more you can add to it, but surely there must be some new ideas, or would we be sort of asking you to reveal things way before their time?
No, look, there was a lot of stuff that we had in place, exciting things. I remember when we were on the show last time, which is like, seems like forever, I told you guys that we had some plans that if it comes down, it's going to be awesome. So we had this whole idea where we wanted to take it to the next level and do something that we feel is very unique. But like you said, the whole goal, and I'm glad that you experienced that, and hopefully the other people experienced that as well, is we wanted to create a platform where we grow the sport. You know, we just don't want to showcase the best of the best. We want to take and grow it up. That was the idea. So there are things, obviously it's shooting a little bit before the time. We don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully we can jump back into it. And then I promise you and everybody else that liked SFL that there will be a lot of stuff in the pipeline that people will find exciting. But we'll have to see if that's going to happen. We don't know because of this whole situation so uncertain.
In terms of young athletes coming through, we're looking at the juniors. You spoke about the kiddies, bringing through to your juniors that can then start competing. And then we start looking at your amateurs, your super am, and then your professional side. Has there been a growth in the professional side or the demand for wanting to move into professional since the start of SFL? Because prior to SFL, there was virtually no place in the country, maybe 1 or 2 events a year for kickboxers to go and showcase. And I'm talking about outside of nationals and outside of going across, leaving the country to go and represent the country. But within the borders of South Africa, very few places where the professional set could literally showcase their talents against their peers.
That's why we had a lot of guys, for example, like Paul Rothman, who fought at one of the events. They would come back and say, hey, there's a stage for them to come fight at now. So that was the goal, and we were working towards creating a professional-only event as well. So that was in the works. So a lot of the guys, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, where kickboxers would move over to MMA, they would move over, because there's no opportunities. And that's what we wanted to try and do, is give them the opportunity, because most of them love kickboxing. Like me, I love the sport of kickboxing. But if you can't do something where you can build a career off it, then you're going to go somewhere you can, So there's definitely been an increase in professional stuff. People that wanted to go pro, the pros picked up their game because they see there's now a good place to go fight at. So yes, it's just a pity that things turn out like it did, because then it had to stop. But hopefully it's not the end. I think it was the start of big things. So let's see how it's going to go.
So a couple more months we are going to have to wait. Probably 2021 will be the very first time we see combat sports events kick back in. I'm hoping it's going to be sooner, but probably not. But let's take a moment to move a little bit away from the physical. Let's move maybe more to the metaphysical. I think it was about 2 years ago, you and I chatted on radio. We were talking about a new initiative, something new that had sort of piqued your interest. And it was this initiative that you started, Inner Warrior. First of all, what is the Inner Warrior? And reflect on what that journey's been like over the last 2 or so years.
So Inner Warrior was something that I started because when you're a coach, you're not just a coach. You help people with all sorts of things.
You're a mentor. You're a mentor.
Yeah. And the way I view martial arts, like I said, is very different. I try to implement a lot of what you would say traditional martial arts would do, not in the sense of doing katas and things, but having a holistic approach. So martial arts for me is a tool that we use to improve ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, the works. So then I found in an hour class, I can't help you with all those things. I can teach you fitness and what, but I don't have enough time. So then I decided, let's make Inner Warrior. That's why if you look at the logo of Shido is the Spartan helmet, and Inner Warrior's got the Spartan helmet as well. It's like two sides of the coin, where Shido is the more physical side and Inner Warrior is the more psychological side and emotional side. So the whole point of Inner Warrior is to help people to become their best version of themselves, to unlock their full potential. So in this time that we're in now, obviously it's trying times. So stuff like learning to deal with your anxiety, learning to deal with your emotions, stuff like that is stuff people want to know. They want to know how to do it. And that's where Inner Warrior comes in. And it's not just like, yes, I do live coaching on the side as well under the Inner Warrior banner, but it's mostly a teaching thing as well, where I frequently upload videos and posts where I educate people on certain things, share my views on things. And one of my biggest things I like to do is just shift the perspective of people. For example, I did a video now on anger. And I said, you know what, we think of anger as something, let's look at it from a different perspective. And a lot of people gave feedback and said, I've never thought about it like that. And that means I'm doing my job.
And in terms of the benefit that a lot of your students have reaped from it, I mean, have you, as a coach, trainer, mentor, have you seen a lot of change? I mean, particularly young kids. A lot of parents bring their kids into martial arts gyms, combat sports gyms, because of either they're being bullied or they have anger issues themselves and want to be or are the bully. Have you seen any sort of big shifts in many of your students in terms of adopting more of a holistic metaphysical approach?
Big time, big time. Especially with bullying problems. One specific case, well, it's not actually one, there's a couple of children that's got this. A lot of times, a lot of children has tightness in the chest area, so they've got asthma symptoms. And this particular, one of my juniors, he would train and he would get asthma symptoms. So I said to him, just come here, we checked a couple of things, and I gave him some stretches to do for the chest area, gave him some breathing exercises to do, and all sorts of things. And eventually that started to change. And some of them actually came off the inhaler completely because of these things. And a lot of it's psychological as well. So even with my fighters, right across there, I've got the board on the wall there, and we've got these sticky notes and things. So what I would do is, I'm a firm believer that the body and the mind work together. So if you look at the performance in sparring, the performance in fighting is a direct reflection of your psychological state and things like that. So we would go to the board on Saturdays and we have like a briefing. So I say to him, okay, let's take your fight, let's take your sparring session, let's take a look at it. For example, why are you hesitating there? Are you afraid of failure? What is this? And we're unpacking it. And a lot of the times we're sorting things out within them, and they become better individuals, better fighters and better individuals. So it works hand in hand. So it's not just the children we see good results, but the adults as well. That's what I'm in this for, is to help people become better at life. That's why we do it.
In terms of Inner Warrior, is it something that's specifically linked to Shido, or is it something that anyone listening, watching this right now, would be able to do on their own without having to, let's call it, get punched in the face?
Get punched in the face, of course. No, it's something different. Yes, I do this at Shido as well, and a lot of my fighters use that stuff as well, but it's something separate. It's where I see people and help them in their specific state that they're in. You know, if there's stuff that you're dealing with or you're going through a tough time, I share what I've picked up over the years to try and help you. So this is it's a wide variety of things. You can call it life coaching, you can call it teaching. I give seminars. Like, for example, one of the things I found really interesting is people always find dreams interesting.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I had these weird dreams. We had Bruce Willis in a tutu on a unicycle, I don't know, in the street. Weird stuff. So one of my favorite seminars to give is on dreams, to try and explain to people the psychological thing behind dreams. Do they mean anything? And if they do, what do they mean? You know, so that kind of stuff I really get a kick out of. It's the most fun part for me of Inner Warrior. So it's a wide variety of stuff. I did some online seminars teaching people, for example, on how to maintain your energy levels. You know, when you feel drained and you feel like, yes, I don't have motivation, what must you do? So that's what Inner Warrior is about. It's for anybody.
So we talk about the benefit that Inner Warrior and training on the mats, in the cage, in the ring, etc., can do for you and what you've done for others. That journey of going through the various training you've done, performing in the various martial arts that you've experienced in your time, founding Inner Warrior, what has that journey been like in terms of that self-discovery, in terms of your development personally as an individual? Because it's got to change you as well as you going through that process.
That's one of the amazing things, is I am not the same person I've been a month ago. You evolve constantly. I mean, it's these phases that you go through where you start realizing more about yourself, you discover more about yourself. One of the things my fighters frequently say, because we talk about this with the fight team, and they say to me, I've just recently realized I have a certain habit. Like, I would get into a conversation and I would say something, and then I'm like, why did you say that? And they're starting to think deeper about themselves.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, they're becoming more mindful. So the more they do that, not only does it help, like for me, for example, it helped me to become better. You know, like maybe you get a little bit frustrated and you say something maybe a little bit rude to someone, then afterwards it hits you and you're like, hey, that wasn't right, you know? And the more you get into this journey, the more apparent those things become. So I'm eternally grateful for what this journey did with my own development. And I believe, like we said, you don't have to do martial arts and do that, but if you supplement that stuff with martial arts, I believe it's a combination that can take you very far, because they walk hand in hand anyway.
So those journeys all combined, we look at a journey most of us have now sort of walked together the last 4 months, from being confined to home to gradually being allowed to run for an hour and a half just as winter was starting, maybe a couple of sniffles and snots as winter kicked in. I mean, we're coming to middle of winter now. This entire journey of being locked up, the various stages of lockdown, that's been taxing both physically and mentally on a lot of people. Your message, your final thoughts to those listening out there, as we come out of this process, as we return to training, as we get back to sort of grabbing back what was a life we had 4 or 5 months ago, what would be fundamental message you would have to the viewers out there?
Well, for all the viewers out there, I would say the following. You know, tough times like this reveal people's true colors. It reveals our circle, who's the people that's always been there for us, you know. So it's a blessing in times like this. You get to realize maybe what you've been doing for a life. Is that really what you've been doing? So it's a good time for self-reflection before you go back out into the world. So for me, I would say, use the time that you've had now. Reflect on things, see, is your life on the path that you wanted to go into? Is the circle that you have around you, the people that you want around you? Because when people are stressed like this, you know, you see the real intent behind things, and sometimes it's a blessing. You see that some people only pretended to have your back, but they don't. So there's a lot of things that you can take positive from a time like this. I know it's a really tough time, but there's lessons behind this.
Well, there you have it, some very insightful words from our guest today. Wow, I mean, I don't know where to start. Morne, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inviting us here to Shadow Fighting Systems. Not going to be the first time we're here. We have a couple of our crew here that want to really sort of test the ring, test the mats, test themselves actually. So we're definitely going to be back. To all of you out there, very, very, very sound advice, very sound words from my guest, Morne Lotter today. Hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to your company next week. Until then, protect yourselves at all times. We're out.